Okay, so Aspire is basically a twice monthly email newsletter that just kind of summarizes some of the current stuff going on, but it's also kind of a connection with what's going on the diocesan website as well. So there's links to different events that you can register for. Just try to keep it short and sweet, and another way to for you to learn about what's going on in the diocese. So, and what else did you mentioned something? I'm trying to think. So he was talking about just the history. So our office is over there, and so we just have all the different versions of the newspaper framed and on the wall. So you're welcome to look at that sometime or whenever you come by. But okay. So I will not speak for more than 10 minutes, I promise. So yeah, I don't have too much to say. But so the question on my mind is, does it really matter that we have a diocesan newspaper? And in a diocese of our diocese, like our size diocese, I would say yes. So in a statewide diocese with 75 counties, our newspaper is a unifying way to get news to our diverse parishioners in all corners of the state. Some dioceses have radio stations, some have TV stations, so that's how they're able to get news. Some dioceses are only a few homogeneous counties, so they can get news through local channels. So we have Arkansas Catholic and all of our digital media to distribute breaking news, statements from the bishop, features, sports, faith formation, and more. So our church is going through a transition right now. You might have been reading about it, hopefully in Arkansas Catholic, about the work that the diocese is doing on the synod on synodality. You can see some of the issues the church is trying to address. Those issues make it even more important that we have a way to convey the true teachings of the church and show the diversity and rich culture of our diocese. American author Michael Connolly said this: "A newspaper is the center of a community. It's one of the tent poles of the community, and that's not going to be replaced by websites and blogs." So I would say we agree on that. For our newspaper, our community is 140,000 Catholics in the state, plus others who care about what happens in Arkansas. And, you know, hopefully you know this, but this is Bishop Taylor's newspaper. He's the publisher. Previous bishops were the publisher. This is his paper, but we're more than that. We are the first draft of our Catholic history in Arkansas. We are the faces and families and stories of the Catholic people of our state. We are one of the tent poles that supports the tent of unity in our diocese. Something else that's very important for our church and our diocese is adult faith formation. Catholic publications like Arkansas Catholic are the only really consistent effort made at adult faith formation. That might sound a little jarring, but it's true. Catholic News Service Executive Editor Greg Erlinson told America Magazine, "Whether explicitly or implicitly, the Catholic press helps Catholics become more knowledgeable, not just about current events, but about our faith and how it applies today." So if you look through these 3 issues in October, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. So this one was about Catholic guilt. We had a whole series, or spread is what you call it, about Catholic guilt. Never thought about that, maybe. Is it real? Is it really Catholic guilt? That's what you gotta read.
Do we have to read that?
Well, you know, interestingly enough, you need to read this part of this article here. Young people they don't teach that to young people anymore. They don't really know what that is. So, just maybe good news, I don't know. This one is about why people avoid confession and some of the answers to that. How to go to confession, here, right there. There we go. This one is about parishes, some Arkansas parishes that are making more of an effort for faith formation for men specifically. This is about holy days of obligation and what those are and why the church has those. Got Father Andrew right here in the, yes, we'll talk about him in a minute. And this is a whole series of articles about miracles and apparitions and different parts of miracles. So I think that's a good example of just what we've done, and these are just 3 issues of the paper. In Arkansas, we've been printing a weekly newspaper for 111 years. Of course, as you know, being a newspaper these days means more than just printing a newspaper. So as we mentioned, we maintain 2 websites, a digital edition, the email newsletter, which is Aspire, a diocesan directory, and social media. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about Arkansas Catholics past, present, and future. So for the past. So starting with our centennial in 2011, so that's when we had our 100th anniversary, we made a concerted effort to honor the history in our pages. So the first issue of the Southern Guardian was published in Little Rock on Annunciation, March 25th, 1911. Thomas Mattingly and Fred Snodgrass worked all day and into the night to print the first 8-page newspaper, get it addressed and bundled, and take it off to the post office. They loaded it on wheelbarrows at midnight with 2,000 copies and pushed it 2 blocks to the post office. I think that's a good foundation for us. Since Bishop Morris arrived in 1906 from Tennessee, he had wanted to start a newspaper to educate the 22,000 Catholics in the state. As a stamp of approval, Bishop Morris included the bishop's approbation in the first issue, and on the newspaper's letterhead, he wrote, "The Southern Guardian is the official organ of the Diocese of Little Rock, and I pray to God that it may be an earnest champion in the cause of right, justice, and truth, and an ardent defender of the religion which we love so well. I extend to it my blessing with a sincere hope that its career may be long and prosperous." So his blessing certainly set the newspaper on its way. Even after 30 years as bishop, Bishop Morris believed in the importance of the Catholic press. In a front page letter he wrote in 1943, he said, "It would please me immeasurably to have every parish in my diocese able to claim the Guardian is going into every Catholic home. Only then can we expect to have the full benefit of a diocesan newspaper. Only then can we expect the Guardian to be strong and useful." So with the March 21st, 1986 issue, so on our 75th anniversary, the newspaper made a big change, and that's when we were renamed Arkansas Catholic. So the change also included at that time a new format and design. Bishop Morris's dream of educating and unifying the state, as well as stories of the church under 4 bishops that followed him, are preserved thanks to our guardian angels. The Guardian Angel campaign was created for our centennial in 2011, and that made it possible to digitally archive every issue of the Southern Guardian, the Guardian, and Arkansas Catholic from 1911 to 2001. Everything from 2002 to the present was already digital. So you can access these resources for free through our website. So now on to our present. So today, Arkansas Catholic is focused on bringing news and faith formation to more Catholics. Many of us still prefer to have a newspaper to hold in our hands, and receiving a printed newspaper helps keep our paper in front of subscribers until they can get around to it. The late Cardinal John Foley, you might have heard of him before. He was the president for the Pontifical Council for Social Communications. He has died a few years ago, but he started his career as a Catholic editor in Philadelphia. And he said, "A Catholic publication on the coffee table is an excellent reminder for ourselves and our visitors of our Catholic identity. Like the crucifix above the bed in every home, a Catholic publication in the living room or family room is a continuing reminder of our identity as Catholics." But with digital subscriptions, we can ensure that everyone has an option to read the entire paper for free every week. So we have a complete digital version of the paper that you can sign up, and every Tuesday you get a reminder, and you can just click on it and you can see each page and just flip through it. And so it's a great thing for people who don't want to have to rely on the post office, which is very unreliable, unfortunately, especially in Northeast and Eastern Arkansas. And it is more affordable since we don't have to print, we don't have the cost of printing and mailing. We are also working to reach people who want to get their news and education in a different format. So here again, Guardian Angels have been important. Covering the cost of technology has made it possible for us to expand our reach through social media, websites, live streaming video, and more. So each week, our staff of 4 produces the weekly newspaper and sees that it's mailed and posted, and we update our Arkansas Catholic website, and we share our content on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Besides me, we have 3 other staff members. We have our digital media specialist, Chris Price. We have a business manager, Mark Brassfield, who handles our advertising and circulation. And we have our production manager, Emily Roberts. Our department also includes the diocesan website director, Tara Little. She maintains dolr.org. And we are assisted by freelancers, photographers, and a graphic designer. We are also grateful, mentioned about Father Andrew Hart. He is our theological consultant. So he works here now in the tribunal, but he reviews all the educational columns and articles so to make sure that we are following the true teachings of the church. I should also mention that we have several columnists, and one of them this will probably of interest to the Serra Club, is the letter from the seminary. So we've been running that column for about 10 years or so, and right now Deacon John Paul Hartett is the columnist. So 4 times a year they write a column in the paper to kind of just tell people how things are going for them and a little insight into the seminary life. So starting in January, the new columnist will be Quinn Thomas from Jonesboro. So, and one thing that Greg had asked me about, or kind of mentioned that may be of interest to y'all, is how we are funded. So I did a little number crunching, just so you can kind of understand. We are not totally self-sufficient. I wish we were, but the diocese gives us a subsidy. So that subsidy covers about 50% of our budget. And then another 30% comes from advertising and subscription revenue. And then the rest of that money would be coming from, we have extension calendars. We get the Catholic Communication Campaign collection when you give in May. Half of that money stays in our state, so we get that money. We have the diocesan directory, we sell that. And then we also make some revenue from pilgrimages that we do. So that's where the money, and I should mention, especially for any of you that have given to the Guardian Angel Fund before, that money is completely separate. We keep that in a fund and use it only for certain purposes, which are mainly technology. Translations, when we translate material into Spanish, we sometimes have to pay for a translator, or translator, and training. So like going to conference or getting extra training to learn a new skill. So the future is the next part of this little speech here. So what does the future hold? Our goal won't change. We want to tell stories of inspiration, of understanding of our faith and our faithful Catholic neighbors. Whether our work is printed on a paper or streamed as electrons, we will always look for stories that can inspire and inform you as Catholics in Arkansas. The newspaper's future will still include national and international news that was actually uncertain for a while this year. We have been a client of Catholic News Service since it launched by the National Organization of the Catholic Bishops in 1920. So CNS provides Vatican, Washington, national, international news, photos, and columns. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops decided earlier to close CNS's domestic operations at the end of this year. So then they decided that CNS would only provide news from the Vatican. So thankfully, starting January 1st, Our Sunday Visitor will start a new news service that will offer U.S. and global Catholic news and photos, and we will be a client of that. So you might see a slight change. It won't say CNS, it will say OSV News. We will also seek ways to dig deeply into issues important to the church. As I mentioned earlier, the church is in the middle of a 3-year process called the Synod on Synodality. The key to the Synod is listening to the laity, active Catholics, people who've left the church, and those who feel marginalized by the church. So this year we produced a series on some of these groups in our church that we're striving to hear: teens, people in the LGBTQ community, Hispanic Catholics, and divorced Catholics. We hope we keep providing these type of stories for our readers so they can understand these topics and others more in depth. The church's future will be on a firm foundation by maintaining a posture of listening and understanding. So in our diocese, for my part, I would say that Arkansas Catholic will be there to support this understanding, to connect our community, and to tell these stories. So that is my speech.
Malea,
Yes.
you're not going to toot your horn, but you and several staff members along with the paper received your award even as recently as a few months ago. So thank you for your good work. Yes.
Thank you. We've been a member of the Catholic Media Association, is what it's called now. So that's all different kinds of people that are in Catholic communications from the United States and Canada. So each year we try to get some recognition. It's not anything that anybody in this building really even cares about, or, meaning the bishop and the leadership. It's not something they push for. It's something that we like to do.
Yeah. Do you have any direction outside of the Diocese of Arkansas toward what you can and can't do, or does everything come from the bishop's office?
Yeah, it's completely, we're, an independent,
Okay.
Entity. We follow, the journalism, standards, and through the Catholic Media Association, we have some, just guidelines and, best practices and things like that. But the way we operate is completely up to our diocese and our bishops.
Okay.
Malea, what's the minimum to be a guardian angel?
There's no minimum. Yeah, we started that in 2011 for our centennial, and that money has been, initially we took all of that, every dime that we ever got went to doing that digital project. And then now it's a fund that we maintain for technology, translations, and training. And so you give $2, it's great. We had somebody yesterday that gave us a check for $1,000. So, we have some donations that big, so.
So to get the paper online, do we just download an app for that?
No, you can just go to our website. I meant to bring over some subscription forms. We can add you manually, or you can just go on our website. At the top it says digital edition, and you click on it and it will take you to another site that will let you just put in your personal name, address, email, and it'll let you set up a password, and then you'll get a reminder every Tuesday. So it's a great thing, even if you get the print, to have the digital, because everything that we started, when was that, 2002, everything, so the past 20 years, all of those articles are on that digital edition. So you can search, like last time I went to speak at Serra Club, maybe they did an article on it. To go in there and find it, and you can print it off. And so it's very helpful for other reasons, even if you like the print.
Malea, what
Mhm.
helps you best, to have us have a paper copy or do it digitally? Which is better for the Arkansas Catholic?
Either one.
Either one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the parent copy costs money. People pay $28 to $30 a year for it. All that money goes directly to the printing and postage. So, we're not profiting any, from you buying a subscription.
That's what I'm saying, you're
Yeah.
not making enough money.
Yeah, I mean, we wanna keep it affordable. So yeah, I mean, it's really whatever, we want people to read it, and that's the reason the bishop decided a couple years ago to make it free, the digital. So, there's no, financial barrier for anybody, or, we don't have to rely, like I said, on the post office and things like that are unreliable.
Do you have any way to track, how many people do read the digital?
Mhm.
Or,
Mhm.
I mean, at least who click on, it's available, but do you know how much is
Mhm.
being accessed?
Yeah, we actually, so our circulation right now is about 6,000. So about 3,000 of that are people getting the print paper. So that's difficult to know how many, but for the majority of those people, they're paying for it. There's a few people that get it for free because they're, a priest, a religious, in prison, that kind of thing. And then about 3,000 people get it on digital. Probably about half of those, about 1,500, probably each month read the digital. So not everybody is, opening their digital edition, but about half of those are.
I didn't realize that pilgrimages, send some money towards that, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, as a former pilgrim yourself, it's a small amount. It's not, your trip is not, thousands of dollars going to Arkansas County. But yeah, I mean, that's the reason we would do it to support our ministry,
And y'all have a pilgrimage coming up.
Yes, yes, are you coming with us?
Well,
Yes, and Ms. Hart over there needs to get on no. Yes, we are going to Spain and Portugal next October. So to see on the anniversary of the Miracle of the Sun in Fatima, we'll actually be there on the feast day in October. And then we're doing the Camino, little 5-mile stretch of that. Not a big walking trip, but it ends up being a few miles a day anyway. But yeah, so that's our next plan. And then we've been talking, about where to go next, because we have people that are more interested in religious travel. Obviously now things are getting back up and running, so it's a fun way to connect. And anyone else?